This is the fairest Mustang, Camaro, and Challenger comparison you'll ever see. My buddy Danny's put over 200,000 miles on all three since 2019, same city, same commute, even the same mechanic handled every oil change. Danny didn't buy any of them to prove a point, just whatever was the best deal that year. For once, nothing about this comparison was rigged to produce a winner. We tore down all three engines on the same lift and evaluated them against the same four criteria. And the one everybody assumes is bulletproof is the one that's currently hiding a problem its owner doesn't even know exists. It's a problem that could cost thousands. That problem didn't show up on a dashboard warning light or a mechanic's invoice. It showed up on a lift, under a valve cover, in a spot most owners will never think to look. Three engines, same lift, same eyes, and the car everyone expects to win this fight isn't the one that walked away clean. One of these three came off that lift looking almost boring. After 200,000 miles, that might be the highest compliment an engine can get. Here's exactly what we found when we opened all three up. 211,000 miles in, and this engine gave us almost nothing to talk about. That's Danny's old Mustang GT, the 5.0 Coyote. Traded in a few years back, but still on the road, still logging miles every day. I expected some chain stretch at this mileage. There wasn't any. I expected at least a little scoring on the cylinder walls after this many miles of daily driving. The bores came back clean, the kind of clean you'd want to see on an engine half this old. I expected the oil to be telling a different story than the odometer. It wasn't. No consumption trend. Nothing on the dipstick that disagreed with 211,000 miles. The only thing we found worth mentioning in the entire engine was a gasket just starting to seep, and that's rare enough on its own to be the headline. One issue, 211,000 miles. That's the entire file on this engine. Almost boring. Mustang calm. What's up on the lift next is where that calm ends. 204,000 miles on the Camaro's 6.2 LT1. Bore condition, clean, oil control, normal. Then everything changed. There was a faint tick underload, the kind of noise an owner hears for months and just stops noticing. We pulled the valve covers expecting maybe some carbon buildup. Nothing more. What we found instead was early stage wear right in the valvetrain, the exact spot this engine's cylinder deactivation system is known to attack the hardware that shuts down half the cylinders under light load, switching states constantly for 200,000 miles straight. Honestly, that's not what we expected to see this early. I'm not calling this a lifter failure. I'm telling you what we saw on our own bench. Left alone, that wear pattern turns into a real repair cam. Lifters. The timing set, while you're already in there, landing somewhere around $2,000 to $3,000 if it's ignored long enough. The Mustang gave us one cheap gasket. The Camaro just gave us a repair bill 10 times that size. That's not a tie anymore. After what the Camaro just showed us, I walked up to the Challenger expecting the worst. It wasn't. 201,000 miles on the 5.7 Hemi, and the bores came back clean, the oil came back clean, closer to the Mustang than the Camaro. The second the key turned, there was a sharp tick around the exhaust manifold. Gave it a minute to warm up, and that tick faded almost completely as the metal expanded and closed the gap it was coming from. That's exhaust manifold bolts on these Hemis known to fatigue over time. Caught early, like this one was, it's about a $300 fix. But underneath that first tick, there was a second sound lower, steadier. And it didn't fade with the heat the way the manifold noise did. Could be the same deactivation wear we just found on the Camaro. Could be nothing. That one needs a real inspection before it's a verdict. One cheap, confirmed fix. One open question, which puts the Challenger ahead of the Camaro and right on the Mustang's heels. At 200,000 miles, the Coyote wins. Not because the other two are bad engines, because it gave us the least to worry about. One gasket in 211,000 miles. That's it. The Camaro's carrying a wear pattern that turns into a real repair if it's ignored. The Challenger came closer than any of us expected, but one open question was enough to keep it from catching the Mustang. The Camaro still got the tighter chassis, the sharper steering through a corner. If you're buying for how it drives, that's worth knowing. But we weren't testing which one's more fun. We were testing which engine survives. At 200,000 miles, doing this kind of driving, over this many years one of these engines was almost boring. And after everything the other two just showed us, boring is exactly what an engine should be. So here's what 200,000 miles actually told us. The Mustang had one gasket. The Camaro's carrying a wear pattern that's going to cost someone real money if it's ignored. The Challenger's got one open question that still isn't settled. Only one walked off this lift with nothing left to explain. Now you know what most buyers won't check before handing over their money, the 4 things that actually matter at 200,000 miles, not the badge on the grill. If that's worth something to you, subscribe, because next time we're putting a 200,000-mile Corvette on the same lift next to something that's never needed an oil change in its life, and finding out which one actually costs less to own by the time both of them get there. Almost boring might just win that one too.